Hi, my darlings. How are you? So, this is my art room, and it's a lot of junk. So I cleaned up most of it because today was trash day. But I gotta wash up some utensils. I have some paint that I pre-mixed last night because I'm gonna create some paintings. So you know how I've been telling you guys, like when you're a little upside down emotionally, right? To try and find something to do that'll keep you busy. So I am currently a little bit upside down, and I was gonna share with you what I do when I'm a little bit upside down, because guess what? By the time I'm finished here, that little feeling that's lingering is not gonna be there anymore. So this is what's the size of this one? I can't see that far, but this is I think 18 by 24, 20 by 18 by 24, I think, something like that. 16 by 24. This is a 16 by 20. Another 16 by 20. And then this little one here. This little one has been hanging around for a while. I haven't done anything with it. So I'm thinking I'm gonna create something with this today. So today I plan to create 4 paintings. Well, that's the thought anyway. So I wanted to show you a few things, a few of my paintings that I did within the last few days. So I have this one here, and we're gonna call her Mother Water. So this one is going to my very good friend, Valerie. Let me tell you, I guess like a writer, right? You can't paint until you feel it, I don't know, it's something, it's a process. I can't explain it, but I owed her that painting almost a year now. So finally, all I gotta do is varnish it, and then I'll send it off. So, another one that I did was this one. Now this here, I don't know which way it's gonna go actually. I gotta figure that out. I don't know. But this one, the pouring medium, is glue. Oh no, chop my head off. Let me sit down low. It's glue. See, and of course I'm representing Guyana in the back there. And all that on the wall is, I've done them, over the last couple of years. But this one here, the pouring medium, is glue because I ran out of Floetrol. And I run out of things quite often. So I just make up shit and I do it, And let me see. What else? This one is for a client of mine. This is for a client of mine. So, and then I'm gonna mail that one off within the next day or two. I have 2 pieces for her, but I can't show you the other piece. But eventually you will get to see them. The other piece, that is. I'm gonna mail them off to her. I'm just waiting. I noticed that I need to put a 4th coat of varnish on this particular one that I did because of the material that I used. But anyway, so then I did this one. I ran out of Floetrol, like I said. So this one has a lot of texture. When you touch it, my friend Valerie likes texture. She says, "It's good as a painting if it doesn't have texture." So this has quite a bit of texture. So I gotta varnish this one too. So yeah. Oi. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't go that way. There we go. Stay right there. See, I gotta talk to the paints to make sure they don't move. And then, let me show you this one. then I have this one that I just completed for a friend of mine in New York. And that will be sent off as soon as we finalize the details of it. So I'm going to go ahead and set up these boards. They're time consuming. You can keep my company if you want. But I don't know what I'll tell you about. Maybe another life story. Oh my. Okay, so we could do that. I'll tell you another life story while I'm taping and doing whatever I need to do. See you in a few. So I'm gonna give you another story. All right. So this one happened a couple of months ago. To tell you, like the human race, I don't know, the human being, maybe how men think, or some men, I can't, lump all men as the same. That wouldn't be fair. But remember we had Mercury retrograde, right? And you remember I was telling you guys, I said, careful the past don't come back. And out of the blue, when I say out of the blue, I see a Facebook notification. And when I look, I see it was my old time boyfriend from when I was a kid. Teenager. He's the one with if you look earlier in my videos at one of my stories, he's the one where I talk about my son. He's the one that, I almost had a son for. But anyway, I have that story posted somewhere on my time, on one of my videos earlier on, a few months ago. So anyway, so I'm like, So being myself, I go being nosy. I look at his Facebook thing and I notice that he just recovered from an illness, And I felt very happy for that. I was really, really happy. Where are my glasses? I need to put on my other glasses. Where are these the glasses? No, these aren't the glasses. Oh, there they go. Hold on. I just can't see. As great as I would like to see. So, anyway, so I was really happy, I'm thrilled to see that, the illness that he had kicked it. And he had there was somebody who was part of his life that helped him out. And I'm really happy that he had that, So anyway, I haven't spoken to them in a long time. I think the last time was somewhere in the 2000s, maybe 2009 or something like that. And that in itself is a story. Anyway, long story short. So I contact him and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Everything good? One of the first words out of his mouth was, but my last name is King. He said, King, your nose getting big. Now, how the hell you gonna greet me like that? So I laugh. And then he starts talking. This is not within 20 minutes and not within 10 minutes. I mean, he started talking about Mickey. He used to call me Mickey. Mickey, do you remember the love we shared? I said, you mean when I was a kid? I mean, yeah, of course I remember that. Don't you think about it? Don't you long for it? No. That was a part of my life. And it has passed. You're so cold-hearted. I say, you know something? It's a lot of men from my past that call me that. I've been called cold-hearted bitch and more cold-hearted than anybody has ever been called. And I accept it. It's fine with me. So then, you remember when I had asked you for a credit card? Well, a few years ago, he had asked me to do, put him on one of my credit cards. And I said no. I told him I was not the child that he knew. Mind you, he's 8 years older than me. It was acceptable when I was 15 for a boy or a man, a young man, 8 years older, to date me. It was acceptable. That was just the way it was, Nobody frowned or anything. Anyway, damn, a lot of shit was really screwed up, when you think about it. So, where was I at with the story? So he'd asked me to put his name on one of my credit cards, and I told him no. I said, I'm not that kid anymore. I'm sorry. I'm not that kid. To begin with, maybe if he was honest with me and straightforward, maybe I would have helped. The thing about it is, when me and my children, we stayed by him, he was very respectful, very hospitable. I ain't got no complaints about that. But one of my children, I think they weren't feeling well. We had to go to Walgreens, So me and him walking in Walgreens, and he see a woman that he used to sleep with or sleeping with or something. And he run. A grown man, mind you. I'm deep in my 40s. He 8 years older than me. Running. Instead of like a grown person say, oh, this is a friend of mine from many, many years ago because I've known him since I was a teenager. I'm just a friend. I don't care who you sleep with. That's you. That's your life. But this man took off running. So I was like, after I finally caught up to him, I was like, why did you run? He said, blah, 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 this lady he saw, me and him and her got a thing. I said, and? What is the secret? Are women so traumatized by some of these assholes that we're not secure no more? The man we love or the man we're with can't be friends with somebody that he's known years ago? But anyway, that's just me ranting. So, let's go back now. So we go back to the credit card. So I said no. So this phone call now, he says, I just want you to know I'm doing really good now. I said, I'm really happy for you. I really am happy. I am so happy for you. Yeah, when I asked you, to help me, you didn't want to help me. You didn't help me. Maybe if you were honest, I would have. I was at my rock bottom. I don't give two shits. Have you forgotten the times? Remember, you want to visit the past. When I was 16, when I used to take my dinner and my lunch and scoot it in my lap to feed you. Do you remember that when you didn't have nothing? Do you remember? Do you remember when I got pregnant? That you didn't stand up for me? That you didn't say I wanted that baby? Do you remember? Do you remember me being a child and not being able to make a decision because I was a minor? And I must remember, now, I don't hold on to things in the sense, it doesn't matter who has done what. I treat people really, really good. But when they come from the past and they talk about loving me. If you had loved me, darling, you wouldn't have left me. You know what I mean? If you had loved me, you would have left me alone because you were a married man. You know what I'm saying? If you had loved me, you would have changed your ways and become a more evolved man. You know, so many things I can talk about. But that was one of them. And he probably will see this because I did send him, you know, my page. I have a story. My thing is, I don't ever want you to forget who you are. A zebra don't change its stripes. You hear? A zebra don't change its stripes. Man, I am so skeptical of the past and people. Man, I could tell you some stories that'll probably blow your mind. You know. Yeah. I could tell you so many stories. Like when I found out he was married. I used to get this phone call. I was a kid, huh? Don't split. I was a kid. So the phone used to ring. Now, mind you, look, I mean, I wasn't like naive and stupid. I had a lot of road sense. But it was because of some of the things I'd been through in my life, you know? And when I met him, he pursued me. He pursued me relentlessly. And after we were together, I think we were together 3 years. And finally, when I eventually gave myself to him willingly, this, now mind you, this was after I had been SA'd when I was 12, okay? It's a lot of things, you know, it's a lot of things. It's a whole lot of gaps in between from then to him, you know? But, after I'd given myself to him, my phone started ringing, not instantly, of course. Within the next couple of weeks or few weeks or whatever, my phone, my country's small. The phone started ringing. I answer the phone, I'm hearing is, you whore, you bitch, leave my husband alone. I said, you got the wrong number. Well, back then I used to cuss too, eh? I said, you got the wrong number because really and truly, I mean, I couldn't understand it at first. So I asked him about it. And I was asking him about it. He said, no, Mickey, I don't know who that is. No, I don't know. I ain't laughing at the woman, don't get me wrong. No, I'm going to tell you the whole story here, man. Since I'm sitting here, I'm going to tell you the whole story. So, the woman used to call and cuss me out. And finally, I think I found out she was a nurse. So if she's a nurse, that means she's a grown woman, you know? But anyway, one day, the phone rings and he was by me. He was by me, by our house. And he said, I'm going to come back. Give me a few minutes. And he said, you can come back. And he left. And he come back, I can't remember if it was a few hours later. But when he came back with this woman at the back of his motorcycle. Remember when I tell you ain't none of us are saints, eh? We are no saints and we cannot judge anyone. Comes back with this woman. Well, the first thing I noticed is that the woman was an older, was an older person. I remember to that day what I had on. I had on a lilac shirt, top, with a seersucker cotton skirt. That it was lilac and it had palm trees around the bottom of it. And my hair was done and it was long. And when they pulled up, the first thing she said was, "Hi, I's the girl who been calling. I's the ex-girlfriend." So I said, "Well, when you were calling and making yourself an ass, it wasn't me you were speaking to. It was my mother. And my mother is upstairs. You can go and apologize to my mother. It was me she used to call. It was me she was talking to. Because I always used to answer the phone. I had a sickness with phone sickness. So anyway, so she goes upstairs and everything. And there was a part that somebody reminded me about. But anyway, that I had forgotten. I'll tell you about it. So she'll go upstairs, and then we went upstairs, and she says she put her feet in our chair, and I told her she can't do that. We don't do that in our home. So she put her feet down. So I'm sitting. We call them a settee, a sofa, right? We call it settee. The settee in a circle, right? So I sitting on this end here, and he's sitting on the end there. And she's sitting in a single chair there, and my mother sitting in another single chair over there. My mother been through some stuff with me, I tell you. So anyway, so my mother sitting there, and the girl said, or the woman said, "I's the girl who been calling. I's the ex-girlfriend. And I sorry." And from the time she said that, this dude comes and sits next to me and says, "Mickey, look." And I turn, and this is a thing that, the boys or the men back home, they always do some stupid shit. I mean, they have sense of humor back home, But in this situation here, this was no sense of humor shit, This was some serious stuff. So anyway, so I turned my face, and he planted a kiss like that on my lips. And the woman fly up out the chair. And she said, "Done that." Well, we got a word back home called scunt, right? She said, "Done that, scunt." She said, "I's the effing wife." I had already seen the big ring when they pull up, right? I mean, I wasn't naive. It was so many things that I knew and I saw that, that I never said, and I used to keep quiet about, So many things. But anyway, when she did that, she got up, she started crying, and she got up. And she went to the door to try to get out. And back in the days when it would rain, we had a green heart wood door. Our back door was made of green heart wood. And whenever it rained, the door would swell. So you had to push it, And she didn't have the oomph in her to push. She was a small girl. Small woman. She was a woman. Because she was older than him. Oh God, it was like so much drama. It was really sad, Anyway, she started crying, and I went outside with her, and me and her sat on the back steps. And she says, "So now you know that he's married, are you gonna leave him?" And me being as naive as I was, I told her no. I told her the fittest shall survive. That I had already given myself to him and that I couldn't just leave him. And the two of them ended up, I think, getting divorced, blah, blah, blah. He ended up having nothing because she had everything. All kind of thing. All sorts of things, man. And during the time when I found out about my pregnancy, she was far deep in her pregnancy. When they had come to my home, she was pregnant. And that I did not know. And how I found out was I had a dream. I dream very vividly. My dreams, when I know when they mean something, and I know when, I don't need to worry about anything. And I remember the dream vivid as ever. I remember. And then when I came and I told him, right, I asked him, I said, hey, is XYZ pregnant? And he said, no, who telling you stuff? Who telling you stuff? I said, nobody telling me stuff. I said, but I think they're pregnant. And then I find out they're pregnant. And I named the child. By then, of course, my mom had found out about my pregnancy. At the time when I found out about her son being born after my... Look at the story. Anyway, so my son, he was a boy. So anyway, years pass. He leaves, well, not years. Couple years pass, year and a half or whatever. We break up. He finds love of his life. I go on my way. And then as I started maturing, I remember I was in the military, and I can't remember if it was because of my SA that I had experienced in the military. But something came to me, and I had, I had to see her. And I went back to Guyana, and I went and I saw her. I called her at work, and I went to her home. Me and her sat down, and back in the day I used to drink, and me and her sat down, and we had a couple of beers, and we talked. I apologized to her. I told her I didn't know any better, that I too, I was a child, and I'm so sorry for everything that happened. We hugged, and we kept in touch for a while, The part that broke my heart was, her son used to pray. Her son couldn't understand what it was that he did to make his father leave him. And he didn't do nothing. But he grew up. I'm sure he has a good life. I think he's a father, a husband, and I'm sure he's a pretty phenomenal one. His mom was pretty nice. His mom, she was a really nice woman, And then we just lost track. After one time is another time, Life goes on. So that was one of the love stories in my life. Now, there was a point in time, had he come back to my life, because I so loved him, and I used to gauge the feeling with him with every relationship I had. Okay? If I didn't feel that way, it was not love. It was not nothing I wanted. It was nothing that I wanted to hang around. I wanted it gone. And you know, even when I got married, I've been married twice. And even being married, you know, twice, I never felt that way. You know, never felt that way. Never. But I used to gauge all my relationships on that feeling, you know. Because I remember whenever I used to see him or hear his motorcycle coming, you know, my hands would get cold and my heart would beat fast, and you know, I get excited, you know. And I think only once in my second marriage here that I felt like that, like, you know, like very excited to see my husband, you know. And I think that was after we had broke up one time and then we were making up. But I didn't know how unhealthy that love or that relationship was, you know. I didn't know that. I thought it was normal. But back in the day, in my youth, the older guys used to prey on the younger women, or the young women, the young girls. And that's what I call it, praying. You know, things were hard back home. Things were very, very hard back home. A lot of people, you know. And a lot of people had dated, a lot of young women, girls dated guys who had money, just so that they can be taken care of, you know. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it still exists somewhat in Guyana as well today. And I think if some of the parents know, I think some of them turn a blind eye. But I don't know, and I can only speak about a few things that I do know about, you know. But it is what it is. Life goes on. So a lot of my past, my path, had something to do with the things I experienced as a child, you know, like all of us. And I talk about healing. For the longest while, I used to think that sex was love. It's far from that. It's far from that. Having a body next to you is not love. Having them all up inside of you, or you inside of whoever, it ain't love. I grew up, gosh, these are going to be a few stories in one. And even before that, you know, something way before that molded me. Or molded who I was growing up. Because I was extremely rebellious. I mean, I went through a lot of bull. But I remember growing up hearing words like, and this is from my father. And, you know, I ain't mad at him. He had his journey too, eh? Don't get me wrong. He had his journey. And he did, I guess he lived his purpose, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not mad at him, and I don't judge him and nothing like that. You know? I know he loved me. As sick as that may sound, you know, as crazy as that sounds, I know my father loved me. I grew up hearing things. He used to be a drinker. He was an alcoholic, and then when he stopped drinking, he was just a dry drunk. He was still mean as hell. He used to say things like, those C's, C, 2 letters, and the T word. I should have killed them at birth. I should have drowned them. Since I was small, I used to hear that. So what am I hearing? I ain't no good. I shouldn't have been born. I shouldn't have been here. And that's what I grew up hearing. And I grew up very, very, very sad. Very sad young woman. Very sad child. Every photograph you see of me is sadness. Except for when my mom was around. Oh gosh, when my mother was around, I used to be so happy. So happy. We used to be, my father was a womanizer, so he would leave the house for like 6 months at a time. And even though things were tight at home, we loved it. We enjoyed it so much. We enjoyed having mom, just with us, and it was just light. It was airy. It was no fussing, no fighting, no nothing, no anger. But when he was around, we never knew. We never knew which way or who we were going to get that day. Never ever knew that. Yep. So, I taped up some of my boards. I taped up my boards. So that was a couple of stories. The point of it is, no matter what, man, we could overcome things. You gotta look back at these things. Everything, I know we don't like to visit the parts or the places that made us sad and things like that. But shoot, visit it and cry it out. Cry it out. And get over it, babies. Because believe me, the more you visit those places, those things that would put a little stab in your heart, it's the easier it becomes. So anyway, needless to say, the guy, that's how I started the story. So, and that's how I'll end the story. I haven't heard from him since then. Oh my gosh. I tell you, I sit down and I think of how many relationships I've had and how much of me I've given in my relationships. And all I was looking for was love. Now, mind you, I was screwed up in my head, I used to be drinking and stuff, And I always knew I had an issue with alcohol. I always knew that. I used to have a keychain that said, instant asshole, just add alcohol. It was just one of them things. I mean, I didn't wake up in the morning and drink and things like that. I didn't do that, but still. Here my crows. I think we got some bird nests, some, what are they called? Northern mockingbirds. I have some northern mockingbirds and they have some nests because they've been going after the crows like crazy. I don't know where their nest is, but they got some babies somewhere. Because they've been chasing the crows all around. So, and the crows come because I feed them. I get them, I buy food and I throw it on my grass. I don't have a lawn. I got weeds. And I cut my weeds. But I don't have a lawn. I can't eat grass. So, no need for me to waste money on that. I have a tree that I talked to. But I was telling y'all something else though. You see how I can, look, you know me things I can tell y'all, you know me stories I can tell y'all. I can tell y'all so many things. Whew. I ever tell y'all about the pig that bit me, the wild hog? Let me get back to, hold on one second, I'm gonna tell you about that. Alright, so, as you guys know, you know I like Earth Zodiac, and which is like the Chinese Zodiac. Oh. And for, oh, okay, here we go. For each Chinese zodiac, you have 2 friend signs and you have 1 enemy sign. So, I was born in the year of the snake. Next year is the year of the snake. So next year is the year of the snake. So for each animal zodiac, we have 2 friend signs and 1 enemy sign. There's only 1 animal zodiac that has 3, and that's the ox and the ox and the rat. They have 3. I'll tell you more in a minute. So, let me get over here. I hope I still got the information. So one thing you got to remember when you think of the Earth Zodiac, you got to remember that the Chinese New Year does not start and end. It doesn't start on the 1st of January and end on the 31st of December, okay? It goes in a little bit. So, if you were born in the year of the rat, your enemy is the horse. Don't get on no horse, okay? Don't get on no horse. I'm going to tell you about the snake in a minute. If you were born in the year of the ox, your enemy is the goat. It's not the sheep. Well, the sheep is the cat. Forget that. Just forget that. So, the ox, the enemy of the ox is the goat. The enemy of the tiger is the monkey. The enemy of the cat is the rooster. And last year was the year of the cat. The enemy of the dragon is the dog. The enemy of the snake is the pig. And vice versa. Okay, so the enemy of the horse is the rat. The enemy of the goat is the ox. The enemy of the monkey is the tiger. The enemy of the rooster is the cat. The enemy of the dog is the dragon. And the enemy of the pig is the snake. So I was saying that because I was born in the year of the snake, and I always knew that from since I was a child, but I never knew about the enemy signs and things like the friend signs or nothing like that. And when I was a child, about a teenager, we had a wild hog as a pet. This enemy energy thing, look, a lot of people, I always want to give you good messages and everything. But along with those messages, there's knowledge also, okay? And if you're aware, then things most likely will be smoother. All right? So, when I was young, a teenager, back home we used to wash clothes in the yard in a bucket. Wash clothes with your hand, rinse out by the hose or by you had a faucet downstairs. You rinse it out there, then you go hang it out on the line so they could dry. So I was hanging out my clothes, and the hog came, and the hog's name was Goofy. And Goofy came, and Goofy it was kind of different this time, because I always used to pet him. And Goofy came next to me, and on this leg, my right leg, he came and he rubbed real hard, because he used to like to rub his neck. But this rub was different. This hog turned his head around and bit me on my at the back of my knee, on the side of my knee. Turned his head and bit me and took out a chunk of my flesh. Nearly lost my leg. But this enemy energy stuff is real, okay? Just pay attention. If you've done good things in life, and if you, I don't know, if you heal, if you start loving you, things don't seem that hard when that enemy energy comes in. It might feel a little kind of chaotic. You just don't do anything new. And one of the things you don't do, you never sleep with the enemy. Don't ever with the enemy, okay? No. It's not good, okay? So, let me see. Your friends, so if you're born in the year of the rat, your friends are the dragon. This don't seem right. I know what it is. Okay, so if you were born in the year of the rat. Okay, so if you were born in the year of the rat. Oh my goodness, your friends are the dragon and the monkey. If you were born in the year of the ox, you're trine, okay? It's 3 sets of 3s. So for the rat, it's the rat, the dragon, and the monkey. For the ox, it's the ox, the snake, and the rooster. For the tiger, it's the tiger, tiger, the horse, and the dog. For the cat, it's the cat, the goat, and the pig. Okay? But I mean, I love doing stuff like this. I love learning these things. I really, really love learning. Right now, I'm in an astrology class. I'm learning about building an astrology chart. So I'm doing that, and I enjoy it. I've always liked things like that. So let me show you some colors I'm going to be working with today. I'm going to be working with black. I don't know why. Maybe because, like I was saying earlier, I was feeling a little upside down. So I don't even know if that's the reason why I got so much black. And then I got white. Then I got this is emerald green. Emerald green. Then I got a mixture of blues. And the pouring medium I'm using here is Floetrol. Don't ask me about measurements. I put as much paint as I want to put. And then I put as much Floetrol as I think should be there. And then I put water. I don't know. Then I got orange. I got another blue. It's more like a turquoise or a peacock. Maybe a peacock blue. Then I got like a metallic purple. And then I got a yellow. And I'm going to be working with these today. And I'll show you what I've come up with. So that's part of the story. I don't know. My goodness, 43 minutes. Y'all got a couple of stories here. Please know I'm not sad in no way, shape, or form. I tell my story in order for you to learn something, or I don't know, maybe, The next story I'm gonna tell you is when I escaped. I escaped an abusive relationship. I'll tell you about that great escape. Mm-mm. That was in 1988. That escape was in 1988. So I was what, in my 20s? Yeah. Yeah. Just before I joined the army. That one was something else. I'll tell y'all that one another day. I love you guys dearly. You take care of yourselves. Hey, I don't want you to shed no tear for nothing, okay? No, I love you. No, I love me. And I've come to terms with so many things in my life. And I love my life today. Okay, I love my life. And oh my gosh. I'm so very grateful. I'm so very grateful to all of you. All of you. Your wonderful comments, your likes, your subscribing to my page. I'm so very grateful, darlings. And I thank you. To my gifters, oh, I thank you, babies. Thank you. Thank you so very much. When I put that, I'm so grateful. This is how it sounds, okay? Thank you so very much. Darling, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. I love you guys. And I'll chat with you soon.